Hello, welcome to Nahashon Kimemia Live. Today has been a difficult one because I'm trying something new. I had prepared slides and everything, but we'll see that in the days to come, right? So today I'm going to do Hopekid DK Kwenye Beat and this young lady from Nakuru, and the title is a lesson for the church, a message for atheists, right? So what happened? What led to this story? So there's this girl in Nakuru. She wanted to be a model. She's around 20 years old based on what I hear or what I found. And she sent messages to various artists, just texting them, trying to, hey, can you help me? Can you help me with this and that? Trying to make it in a country where it's difficult to make it. Who wouldn't understand? And they usually say, a shark is born swimming. So this young lady, I'm guessing she cleared just some time back, and she really wants to get into that modeling career. So she was born swimming, right? Straight from high school to trying to get connections. So Hopekid was one of the artists that responded to her. And that was a good thing in the beginning, right? So this is what I usually tell people. Take care of yourself when you are in Nairobi. It's a very unforgiving city, and people will take advantage of you at any given time, at any given moment. It's true of the whole of Kenya, but especially in this city, because people can run away at any time. They've developed their own methods of taking advantage of people, and this is what happened to this girl when she came to Nairobi. She started chatting with Hopekid through social media. I'm guessing mostly I think it was Instagram. Okay, I don't know. But it could be Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. I'm guessing it's mostly Instagram. Because I think, I'll explain something later. Or Facebook. And she decided, or WhatsApp, she decided to meet with Hopekid in Nairobi, right? So she came here to meet with Hopekid and to go and try and fulfill her career. So that's a good thing for her, isn't it, right? So she comes, she meets with Hopekid. Hopekid takes her to Dawn Home. Where does he take her specifically? He takes her to DJ Kwenye Beat's home. And things transpire from that point. Because as the lady was coming, she knew that something might happen between her and Hopekid. And something did happen as they were at DK Kwenye Beat's home. So they started kissing in front of DK Kwenye Beat. And I think she felt uncomfortable at that. Hopekid took her to the bedroom, where other matters proceeded, biological matters, and DK later followed. So that seemed to have surprised the girl a bit, because she wasn't ready for that. She knew that something could happen with Hopekid, but she didn't think that something could also happen with DK Kwenye Beat at that same place, at that same time. And according to her version of the story, he came and he had intercourse with her without her consent. So that's the crux of the matter, the big story, right? These guys are gospel artists with famous songs. So yes, being gospel artists, it brings a bit of controversy. The kind of sexual act they were engaged in, normally called a threesome, is kind of like also fueling the fire. So she met with DK again, and she had unprotected sex with him, and it led to certain consequences. She fell ill. She got herpes, right? Herpes is forever. It never goes away. I read some statistics back in the day that around 50% of the people have it. The best way not to have herpes is to wait until marriage. But do people listen? So anyway, she tried to reach for help. From who? From the person she believes gave her herpes, DK Kwenye Beat. And he told her, right, go for treatment. Let's see how much it will cost, and I will meet that cost. So that's what he told the young 20-year-old, right? That was, yes. And then, so the girl went, she got the estimates, and then when she tried to call him, he was Mteja. He was nowhere to be found. And isn't that the story of most people when they have to do something, especially when it comes to parting with money, especially if guys have they have your debt, right? So anyway, he refused to answer her call, and this girl was left in a dilemma. She has herpes. There's this artist, a gospel artist, who gave her that disease, and he's refusing to help her. So what can she do? They say that revenge is best served cold. Hell hath no fury than a woman scorned, or something. I can't remember that saying completely, right? So she gets hold of Extian Della. I think his real name is Arthur Mandela, but he's a blogger. On Twitter, he's very famous. He has a lot of followers, and on Instagram, I think he's also very famous with a lot of followers. So she gets hold of Arthur Mandela, otherwise known as Extian Della, and Extian brings her story to the limelight through Telegram at first. And as the Italians say, I don't know if I'll pronounce this correctly, La Dolce Vendetta, the sweet revenge. So now it's in the public domain. DK Kwenye Beat's career is on the line, because this is not what gospel artists are supposed to be doing. And everybody is now rebuking him, questioning him, and questioning also the people that deal with him. In fact, they are questioning the entire gospel industry, calling out hypocrisy within that industry, and a bit more. So guys are now in damage control, right? DJ Kwenye Beat, of course, he had gone mteja, but now he has to respond. So he hears that something is trending online, and he talks to his friends. There's a leaked audio, also leaked by Extian Della, right? He speaks trash about the girl. Like, who would prove? How would they prove that he had intercourse with her? It's 3 months down the line. So he's trying to turn the table on her as he's discussing with his friends possible options to take. He's speaking about how the girl might commit suicide, how she is a cat, and all those things. He spoke very negatively about the girl, and also about Extian Della for bringing that issue to the limelight, and I think specifically for somehow revealing her identity. That's what I had. So after some time, still, now that's when you get hold of the story, and you are angry, and you're speaking as much trash as you can, and your friends are egging you on. So what happens next? DJ Kwenye Beat, now after sitting for some time, becoming sober, he apologizes to his fans without admitting liability. There's something we call an apology without apologizing. For example, somebody might say, I regret what happened to you. They haven't apologized. They have just offered their regrets for what happened to you. For example, you can offer your regrets for something that happened to somebody some time back, somebody did to them. You're not recognizing that you did it to them because you didn't, but you regret that something of that nature could have happened to them. And then there's this one where you say you're sorry for what happened to that person, but you don't acknowledge culpability. And it's an example. You can say somebody, I'm sorry that somebody passed away, right? I'm sorry that you are alone, but you don't admit culpability, perhaps because you're not culpable, or perhaps you're trying to escape culpability. So he apologizes to his fans without admitting liability. So when somebody apologizes, you have to really check the apology. Is it sincere? So Sizet comes into the picture, and she decides to defend DK Kwenye Beat. How does she do that? She does that by providing him with a platform where he can speak his side of the story. And then she's now there, the sympathetic person listening, and, just trying to get a narrative out there in the media. That he's sorry, that the devil he took hold of him, and now he's back on track, and all of those things. So that's what happened to him. So that's DK Sizet, how Sizet entered into the picture. So anyway, going back to the other thing, you can fool the people sometimes, right? but you cannot fool the people all the time. And why am I saying this, right? The media went after size 8, right? They went after size 8. They distanced, because it was, the people are not fools. You can fool them sometimes, but you cannot fool them all the time, right? And what happens is that they recognize that this is some PR stunt that size 8 and DK Kwenye Beat are trying. So they went after her. Size 8 distanced herself from the story, and the young lady from Nakuru, upon whom all this stuff happened, they did not apologize to her. And she talked to, I think, NTV, and she spoke about that. They did not apologize to me. They apologized to their fans. She noticed the apology. She looked at the apology. And it's good to look at those things. So anyway, I believe that people are walking a thin line when it comes to rape allegations. And this is why I say these kind of things. We have young girls. They are looking for jobs. They want to be models. They want to be famous. Others want to be like Vera Sidika. And they see celebrities as an opportunity to get there, and to get there quickly with as little effort as possible. So when they come, if you have ever talked to any of these ladies, what they do is that they search for these guys online. They go to Instagram, they message you. They go to Facebook, they message you, just shooting for possibilities that somebody will respond to them. If you're a dude, you have got some of these messages. Some chick messages from nowhere. After some time, after she starts chatting, she starts asking for credit. It proceeds, and then now, after you've given enough, now they usually know that a meeting would be necessary, right? When somebody is dishing out, when the amount is increasing. So now they agree to come and see you, because now they've discovered that you have enough, right? That you weren't stingy with 300 bob credit or some data, and now you have more to provide for fare and all of those things. So these girls do that. They look for sponsors online through social media, and they will contact you. You guys will negotiate the price, and then they will come to you. I'm not saying that she did it. I'm just saying that there are girls who do it, right? She met DK again. If somebody rapes you the first time, would you go to that person again? They say once bitten, twice shy. Wasn't she shy the second time that she went to meet DK Kwenye Beat? What I know from these stories, what people usually do before they have unprotected sex in a kind of where it's a transaction kind of thing. They search for you online. You seem like a prospect who would, part with some cash. They come to you. And then when it comes to unprotected sex, guys usually have an impromptu HIV test before having that unprotected sex. So I've never had the need to do a HIV test because I don't engage in certain kinds of stuff. So anyway, what happened is that what did they do? I'm not sure if a HIV test covers herpes, but perhaps it doesn't cover, because that would have been recognized. So anyway, there was a need for additional cash. Chicks usually have a need for additional cash. As when the transaction is over and they move back home, what happens is that they feel that this person has a lot of money. Perhaps they can chuck more money and all those things. So certain stories start coming up. And perhaps it's the view as a long-time kind of investment, because it's an investment. Certain stories will come up. For example, you can hear from a certain lady that, I have yes, we had unprotected sex, so now I'm pregnant. So do you want the baby? Usually it's a married person, so when it comes to the baby, married guys are kind of like, ooh, you can see the doctor, and he will take care of you. So guys usually chuck cash for abortions, right? I don't know what the going price is. I think what was Zungus, I think they chuck around something like 50,000. Africans perhaps 18,000 or 20,000, I don't know. So anyway, another story that dudes you would usually hear is that the sister is sick. They usually say the sister, or if they have a kid, they usually say the kid is sick. And sometimes they collude with the doctor such that a doctor provides some medical reports. And yes, so that's what usually happens to chuck more money. Other stories is like rent, and another story that usually comes up. It's a bit rare, and it's usually a story of last resort is an infection, that they have an infection, and then they need to see the doctor and all of those kind of things. So somebody who would be kind of like, whoa, man, they would give her money and all, and they would go to the doctor. But I think that's a rare kind of case, and it's usually to guilt the other party into chucking money. I don't believe that this lady was lying about her infection. Why? Because bloggers, they do a lot of research, unlike journalists, right? Because when you come after a blogger, you're coming after him and him alone. He has no company to back him, so that a company would hire a lawyer. So before Extendela comes up with this story, it's usually he has done a lot of research on it, and it's usually true, right? I have given this kind of like breakdown when it comes to what the young ladies usually do, right? Because I don't believe that it's actual. I don't believe that it was an actual rape. I don't believe that, right? Let me just give my opinion on this thing. I do not believe that the DK case is a rape case. I believe that FIDA and other organizations, they're just doing PR because they need to speak about these things that have caught the limelight. But other stories where women really need them, okay, and yeah, here she's needed. But FIDA is usually absent in other stories, especially when it affects the poor, unknown stories. So anyway, I believe that she was unprepared for a threesome. I don't believe she was prepared for that. I believe that she might have had that threesomes happen, and that people who kind of like have the kind of like the same habits as her, you know, moving to from Nakuru to Nairobi to see someone and then engaging in those kind of acts quickly. I believe that she had that threesomes happen, and this one was an unfortunate case. There's I'll do something specifically on this one because rape is kind of like a big issue. There's a thin line between consent and rape, and unpreparedness does not necessarily lead to rape. And at the same time, there's a bit of naivety when it comes to chicks. I actually would prefer that the age of consent be raised to 21. And I'll give my opinion on those things in future. I believe that she had some affection for Hopekid, as chicks usually do. Even, it doesn't matter when you're, whatever kind of business you are in, or what you do for a living to survive. They, regardless of what people do, they always have some affection for somebody. I believe that she has some affection for Hopekid, and that's why she's trying to distance him as much as possible from this story. So anyway, based on everything that I've said, on what chicks do and what transpired in this case, the Hopekid and DJ Kwenye Beat story, I think you'd realize that I'm trying to give another side of the story. Not to absolve DJ DK Kwenye Beat from what he did, but just to give another side of the story, so that we fully understand the entire picture of what's happening, so that we can actually deal with everything from this side of DK Kwenye Beat and from this side of the lady, and perhaps from ourselves, right? Because I don't believe that everybody was entirely innocent in this case. And yes, I'll speak about that. I believe that the M-Pesa transactions are key. I believe that if this case goes to court as a rape case, it will fail. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Again, I don't usually give popular opinions. I just give what I believe is true. So anyway, what is the danger that people are missing? What are people missing that people haven't seen? And this is what I think people are missing. There is an underlying war on religion, right? Everybody is against religion for some given reason or another. You can hear it from the West, like from the Democrats, they are really against religion, the European Union, and specifically against Christianity. There is an underlying war on it, supported mostly by socialism, socialist, and those ideals, right? And it's coming to Kenya. Because Christianity opposes certain kinds of things, and it opposes it forcefully. And it's a kind of religion that you can't really argue against. Because other religions, you just cite something and then people can like, that religion. But when it comes to Christianity, especially this focus on love, you really need to hit it hard. And hypocrites within their faith, they help you to do that. I'm not saying that these guys are hypocrites, but I'm just saying they help you fight religion. And you look at it, because even when you go to social media, people like David D trying to correlating religion and poverty, that the more religious people are, the more poor they are, whereas the evidence shows otherwise. But they still repeat it, because remember, like I said back in the day, atheists are repetitive. They don't have the facts, so they repeat, hoping that somebody somewhere will believe them. And people they do, when they don't have the facts themselves. So anyway, there is a loss of faith in the church and in Christian teaching, because Christian teaching is supposed to prevent these kind of things, threesomes and all of those kind of things. But here we have gospel artists having threesomes. So is church teaching really working? That sermon that their pastor gives every Sunday, is it really working? Is it really touching them? So there's a loss of faith in the church and what it can do to help you not to take part in certain activities. And people actually say to hell, I'm not going to church. To hell, pastors are hypocrites. Why would I go to learn from a hypocrite? So that's another danger. Another danger is the loss of the sense of sin. People no longer believe that sin is around. And somebody once said that the greatest trick that the devil will play on people is to make them believe that he is not there, that he is not alive. So anyway, there's a loss of the sense of sin. That people now say, like somebody was arguing, right? That gospel people also have sex. Why are you guys so against sex? It's a natural thing. And when it comes to, let's say, the priest, they'd actually say, the problem is that you guys are forcing the priest to be celibate. Allow them to do their thing, because it's natural. And let's nature take over. Let's look at at homosexuality, right? That thing is natural. Those guys love each other. So why are you guys against it? Stop being that way. So anyway, there's a loss of the sense of sin, because people don't realize what it is, how it comes about, and all of those things. So there are people fighting against religion, and then the religious are also losing faith in their church, and then they're starting to say, perhaps it's not a sin. Let's love each other. See, you Christians are talking about love. So this is love. Let gays do their thing. These guys, they didn't hurt anybody. There was consent. Anyway, so I wanted to speak about sin. Like, what is sin? And these are the definitions that I have from the church. Sin is an offense against reason. It's an offense against the truth. It's an offense against right conscience. So that means that as a Christian, you must reason. And that's why I think it's in Isaiah. It says, come and let us reason together. Let us set things right. It's a beautiful verse, by the way. And it's an offense against truth. Why? Because Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. So when you sin, you're going against the truth. And that's why it's an offense against God, because he is the truth, and you're going against the truth. It's also disobedience, because you're supposed to do this, and you have something written that you're supposed to do this, but you're choosing to revolt against God. Why? Because you desire to be like God. You desire to have your own right and wrong. And that is the problem. Because we already have somebody who told us that this is right and wrong. But now we want to make our own definitions of right and wrong. And so this is what was happening in this case, right? Let me give you an example. The young lady, the young 20-year-old, she knew that coming to Nairobi, meeting Hopekid, and possibly having sex with him is wrong. It's against reason. It's against truth. It's an offense against God, but she still chose it, right? Hopekid knew that taking advantage of a naive girl, a girl who's only seeking fame and who's not fully aware of the consequences of her actions, is wrong. But he still persisted. It's an offense against reason. Because if you reason well, you should know that this girl is naive. She's only seeking fame. She does not understand what she's getting into. Hopekid and DK having sex, premarital sex, that's also a problem. Because we have been told that sex should be within marriage, right? So that's what happens. That's an offense against reason, truth, and right conscience. And then there's another definition: failure in genuine love for God and for your neighbor, caused by a perverse attachment to certain goods. That you're failing to love somebody as you should, or to even love God as you should, because you have an attachment to something. That something is so influential in your life that you forget to love your neighbor. And that's why sin sets itself against God's love for us. Because now we don't even care about that love. We don't even care about loving our neighbor. We just care about that thing that we're searching for. And it turns our hearts away from where they should be. Because they should be towards the face of God, towards the face of our neighbor. But we turn them towards ourselves. Selfishness. So anyway, DK failing to help the girl with her illness. That is failure in genuine love for her. Because he's the one who knew her intimately, who called her here, who could have been the one who gave her that disease. And he's the one best placed to help her. Because she's 20 years old. He has money and he can help her seek treatment. But he fails to have genuine love for her, even after he commits a sin against her. Because he's only attached to himself, to his lust. So that's a definition of sin. Says it again. She fails to see it from the girl's perspective, to love the girl genuinely. And instead she focuses on absolving her friends from blame. She forgets to love her neighbor. That girl also has a perspective. And when she sees that you are constantly just focusing on them and absolving them, what does it do to her? So it was a problem, right? And just look at your situation. If you fail to have genuine love for your neighbor, that's what happens. You commit a sin. So anyway, as Augustine defined it, sin is an utterance. It's a deed. It's a desire contrary to the eternal law. So what is this eternal law? The eternal law is God's wisdom. It's a directive of everything, how everything should move and towards what end they should move. Everything that exists, inanimate or animate, it follows that eternal law. And when we go against it, we commit a sin. For example, marriage is there for a specific purpose. DK Kwenye Beat has a girlfriend. He could move towards that direction, right? That is the eternal law, moving us towards marriage. Male and female, he created them. One man, one woman. But he seeks to have others around him. And so does Hopekid. That is going against the eternal law because God instituted marriage for something and for someone. But we're going against it, playing around so that we can have these other things on the side. DK Kwenye Beat and Hopekid, they have a position in the gospel industry. And that's why this 20-year-old reached out to them. Anything, even a stone, because I think there's a Bible verse that says, even the stones will cry out and praise him or something. Even a donkey spoke. Because everything has a law inside of them. And even if you will not play your part, those things, even stones will play their part. DK Kwenye Beat and Hopekid, they have a part to play in the gospel industry to raise people up and to lift them towards a godly life. But they are not playing their part. They are not acting as per the eternal law. And that is a sin. So Saizet could use her position to heal the girl's wound. Girl talking to a woman, easing her fears, reaching out to her. But instead, what does she do? She goes and tries to absolve her friends. There is an eternal law that exists within us. There's a reason why women can communicate better with other women than perhaps men, especially in certain situations involving a sexual kind of scenario. But she chose not to, right? So when people do not act as per the law that drives us towards a specific end, then we sin. And here is where I'll have people talking about, do not judge, lest you be judged, from Matthew chapter 7, verse 1. Because I am mentioning people, and I'm saying how people can actually sin. And I'm using this as an example. So people might come after me. And this is what I might say. I am not judging, because I can't go against Matthew 7, 1. Do not judge, lest you be judged. There is something we call an objective analysis, and there is something we call subjective judgment. And people need to understand that. Because otherwise you'd help people hide behind their wrongdoings. Right? That somebody would do wrong, and then they would run and say, yeah, don't judge me, don't judge me. We're all sinners. Because all have fallen short of the glory of God. So that can be a defense mechanism. And that's why the Bible is actually very clear on these matters. You can analyze something objectively, but you cannot have a subjective judgment on anything. For example, objective analysis, that means that they are true based on certain principles or certain laws. For example, what goes up must come down. Gravity, that's a principle, that's a law. And what you're doing, you're just stating it. That thing went up, it is coming down. You have not judged it. You have simply stated as per a given law. In this case, we have the eternal law that I was talking about. If somebody goes to the left of the eternal law, you can say, you've gone to the left of the eternal law. If somebody goes to the right of the eternal law, you can tell them, you have gone right to the eternal law. Let's move as per the eternal law should move. And this is what James 5:20 says. Let him know that whoever brings back a sinner from the error of his ways will save his soul from death and will cover a multitude of sins. So the Bible is actually encouraging you to bring back somebody from the error of their ways. If you move again to the right of the eternal law, I should tell you. To the left of the eternal law, I should tell you. So that we all keep as per this eternal law. And if I should do wrong, I would hope that somebody will tell me, so that I can stay and save myself from death. Right? So let's all help each other. And that's why it's important to confess our sins to each other, so that we can advise each other, and then we can move ahead as good people. It also says, do not judge by appearances, but judge with the right judgment. This is the Bible telling you to judge with the right judgment. And what is right? The eternal law given unto God. This is the command that he gave them. Go and love one another. So when you see somebody is not loving one another, you just tell them, you're not loving your neighbor, because you're doing this and this to your neighbor. And then love your neighbor. But God is the ultimate judge. You haven't judged, you have just stated, based on what you have read, what is love and what is not love. Right? So those are the things that I wanted to say. I am analyzing objectively. There is subjective judgment. For example, the people who say that somebody is in hell or is going to hell, they are exercising what we call subjective judgment. Personally, I consider it blasphemy. Because you're trying to take the role of God. Only God can judge who is going to hell or who is not. Only God can judge that. Who is in hell or who is not. When you try to do that, you're trying to subvert his authority. You're trying to take it. You're trying to make yourself a God. And that in itself is a sin. Right? There is only one lawgiver and one judge, he who is able to save and to destroy. But who are you that you judge your neighbor? Who are you that you judge your neighbor? That's James 4:12. And this one is speaking about subjective judgment. Whereas you look at somebody, that one is going to hell. Or when you look at somebody, that one is evil. You can't say somebody is evil. For you to know that somebody is evil, you'd have to look within their hearts. Right there where they are. That's the only way you can tell if somebody is evil. And how can humans do that? They cannot. And that is why you cannot judge somebody in that way. Because we judge by what we can see, by the law that we can see. That's why we need a law to judge. Objectively. Like you went to the right or to the left of it. But God is the only person who can say where this person is going or where he's not going. God is the only person who can say that this person is evil or not evil, because he sees the heart where we cannot see. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not judge from appearance or from his lofty stature, because I have rejected him. God does not see as a mortal who sees the appearance. The Lord looks into the heart. And we can't see into the heart. So we can't judge. Even DK Kwenye Beat, whatever he did, even if perhaps I'm disagreeing that it was a rape case, but even if it was a rape case, even Hitler himself, we cannot judge whether he's in hell because we cannot see into his heart. But we can say that what he did to the Jews was bad, based on the eternal law that we have, based on the command that Jesus gave, go and love one another. Based on reason, based on truth. That is the only way you can determine right and wrong. But we cannot say that this person is going there or is going there, or this person cannot come from sin. We cannot say that. Anyway, so that's a digression. Just to explain a bit. The heart is the place where you decide whether you are for God or you are not for God. That's the heart. The soul is the only place where you are free, where your conscience lies. The spirit, it goes back to God. I believe that it's the breath of God. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not really sure about that. I just know that it goes back to God when you die. That's why people would say, I love you from the bottom of my heart. Because that's why love is a choice. That's why you decide whether you love that person or do not love that person. You feel happiness from your heart. Because happiness is a choice. That's why you decide whether you're happy or you're not happy. Deep inside of you, deep inside of your heart. That's why you decide those things. And that's why you also decide whether you are for God or not for God. And only God can see that. That's the only place where you make that decision. And only God can see that decision because it's so inside of you. The soul is the only place where you are free. That is where your freedom lies. Your freedom does not lie in walking around, not being in jail. Your freedom lies in your soul. Your freedom is where your conscience is. I'll talk more about the soul later, right? And then there's the spirit. It goes back to God because it's not yours. Why do we blame things on the boogie, on the boogeyman? There's a song by Michael Jackson. Blame it on the boogie. People blame it on the boogie a lot. This is what I wanted to say. Size 8 and DK Kwenye Beat, blaming it on the devil. It's an attempt to escape responsibility. And let me just mention these things. The things we call the enemies of the soul. And there are 3 enemies of the soul: the flesh, the devil, and the world. When it comes to the flesh, let's talk about the flesh a bit. Hopekid and DK Kwenye Beat, they wanted sex. They wanted fame. The girl wanted fame. Size 8 wanted to save her friends. These are things that make us feel good. Because now we have saved our friends. We did a video with DK Kwenye Beat. Everybody is now at peace with him. Yeah, I'm there for my friends. You know, you feel happy a bit. And when it comes to the young girl, she wanted fame. She wanted to be famous, to be this top model. This Hopekid, they wanted sex. Our flesh, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Our flesh is an enemy of our soul. And our soul is our freedom, why we are free. So your flesh is actually it's a threat to your freedom in so many ways, right? And that's why people usually say, do not be a slave to sin. Because when you're a slave to your flesh, right, then you are a slave, you're not free. So to become free, you have to overcome your flesh. I'll add more on that in future. The devil is also an enemy of our soul, of our freedom. Because true freedom lies in happiness. True freedom lies in peace at heart. True freedom lies in making a decision because you want to make it. And the devil is a threat to that, because he influences us to put us in chains, because that's what he wants. There's a verse in the Bible where it says sin came through a woman. The devil only pushed the woman towards sin, and then the man willingly sinned. So sin was, yeah. I'll add more on that. I'm just mentioning that today. The devil tempts us, but we have enough grace within us to avoid temptation, to overcome it, to overcome temptation, right? But he only tempts us. He does not sin on our behalf. So we cannot blame the devil that, it's his fault. He's the one who sinned against us. We have become the accuser as he is the accuser. We must take responsibility because our flesh is working against us and we have chosen to indulge in the flesh. So this blaming it on the devil, he did this, he did that, I don't believe that it's biblically correct. And I don't believe that it is, it's against, it doesn't work that way. If the devil is always at fault, think about it. If the devil is always at fault for us sinning, then why would anyone go to hell? If your child is not at fault for something, then would you punish your child for that? Or would you allow your child to go to some bad place, right? When he is not at fault for it. There is an element of responsibility within us. And we bear the greatest responsibility for our sins. And that is why we push ourselves towards hell. It's not that the devil pushes us there. Because if it was the devil's fault, then only him should go there. Only he should go there. Because it's his fault. But there is responsibility. And we cannot escape it. And we push ourselves towards that area. Anyway, the world. There's a reason why people usually say, there's a Bible verse, iron sharpens iron. Stay with good friends. Avoid bad company. They usually say that because the world would influence you towards a particular direction. It's an enemy of your soul. In this kind of example, right? This DK Kwenye Beat, there's that leaked audio where he's with his friends. His friends, they're actually laughing. They're actually reinforcing his position. When he talks negatively about this girl, they don't correct him. When he speaks in such a way about this girl committing suicide, they don't say, suicide is bad. They should not commit suicide. You should actually talk to this young lady. She doesn't commit suicide. They don't tell him that. They tell him other things. They're laughing at this thing, whatever is happening in this situation. You'll check that link audio, right? I'll put it in the description. And so that's what the world does to you. It's a threat to your freedom, to your soul. Because the only freedom that exists is to... there's a reason why your yoke is heavy. Come and I'll lift, and I'll make it light and lift it. Because when you move further away from God, then the burden becomes too much. You become a slave to your flesh. You become a slave to whatever your friends want you to do. You become a slave to the devil. Freedom lies in doing the right thing. I'll I'll talk about that more in future. So anyway, there are different types of sin. All wrongdoing is sin, but there is sin that is not deadly. 1 John 5:17. All wrongdoing is sin, but there is sin that is not deadly. So there is deadly sin and there is non-deadly sin. So the deadly sin, the matter must be grave. For it to be a deadly sin, the matter must be serious. For example, sex outside marriage is serious because it leads to death. What we call physical troubles. Again, death used here symbolically. You don't really have to die for you to be dead. For example, this girl found she got herpes. And again, like I said, the best way to prevent herpes is to have sex with one partner within marriage. Best way. And herpes is for life, by the way. Remember that. And herpes can lead to lesions, and those lesions can affect your ability to have kids. It's serious. It varies from, it can be unnoticeable in some people to a certain extent of being very serious. So anyway, there's a certain 18-year-old back in the day. I don't know if you remember that story, where she was talking with somebody through social media again, a white person, and that white person came to Mombasa. That girl went to Mombasa, and she came back, she killed herself. It can actually lead to physical death. There's sex outside marriage. It leads to spiritual death, where you separate yourself from the will of God. Again, there's that eternal law. You're separating yourself from that eternal law. You're kind of like saying, yeah, okay, it's good that that law is okay, but I have this definition of right and wrong, and I'm going to use that one. So that's one of the reasons why, that's another definition of deadly sin. The will of God is to love your neighbor, to see God's breath in them. They have that spirit of God in them, that breath. You're supposed to love them. And when you don't love them, when you are attached to something else, then you are sinning. When you pursue certain pleasures, when you're attached to something, then you can't remain faithful in marriage. So anyway, I'm trying to explain this deadly sin and why this, whatever transpired between these guys was deadly sin, because it led to herpes. Because now there's people, when they do that, they don't really focus on marriage. They don't focus on fidelity to their partner. They actually focus on other things. DK Kwenye Beat has a beautiful girlfriend. I'm not sure if she was the girlfriend that time, but yeah, Shanice, very beautiful by there. So you don't focus on your girlfriend and moving towards marriage. You just focus on the other things, and then you delay those things. And then the sin must be committed with full knowledge. This is actually very, very important. The girl knew that she was coming to Nairobi, and it was likely that she was going to have sex with Hopekid. It was as per her knowledge, right? And yes, so you can't really run away from it because you have full knowledge of it. She knew that she was going to have sex with DK Kwenye Beat the second time that she met with him, right? Even though she accused him of rape the first time. That's why I don't believe it was rape. I'm just saying. She knew that she was going to have sex with him. She knew. There was full knowledge, yes. Hopekid also knew why he was calling this girl. DK also knew why he was calling this girl. They were all aware of the facts. DK knew that he had a girlfriend and needed to be faithful with her. So again, not all sins are deadly. A deadly sin, it must be very serious. Like this one was very serious. Herpes, a threat to marriage, and then going against the eternal law specifically. And then it must be with full knowledge. This guy knew everybody knew what they were doing. The sin must be committed deliberately. Deliberately, without, let's say, somebody forcing you. Because if somebody holds a gun to you and says you must do this, then you can't really hold somebody liable for that. Again, the devil did not hold a gun to anybody. They chose of their own free will. So there's no devil to blame. The devil might have put temptation towards them, but he's not to blame. And that's why you will be the one to account for your sins, and I will be the one to account for my sins, not the devil. And then there's non-deadly sin. This one is the sin kind of like when one of the sins lacks a key ingredient. Let's say a person has not reached the age of reason. So they don't really know what is going to happen. let me give an example. For the women who abort, but they don't know that they are aborting a baby, a human being. They don't know that at 16 days that baby has a heartbeat. They don't know that within the womb, like when they come and cut the babies, the baby tries to reach to the other side of the womb, tries to escape. For those women who don't know that, then when they don't know that, then they haven't committed a deadly sin, right? They've committed a non-deadly sin. But failure to reason and failure to come to the truth, to seek the truth, that could be a reason why it's a deadly sin again. Less serious matter, lying about eating a piece of meat while you're cooking, that's a non-deadly sin. So anyway, let me go to another one. There are 7 deadly sins. One is pride. Refusing to apologize to the lady. I believe it's a matter of pride. Because you know you have wronged her, but you won't apologize to her. Then you go mtage on her, because now you're an artist and you can get away with it. Yes, that's one of the 7 deadly sins. Feeling that you can get away with it, yeah? Pride. Another one is envy. Using this incident as an opportunity to bash Hopekid and DK Kwenye Beat. When you use this incident, because at certain times people are jealous of the success of others, and so you use it as an opportunity to bash, instead as an opportunity to build, instead as an opportunity for people to reason, to understand each other, then that's also a deadly sin. And most of us are guilty of committing it. Bashing people instead of making things right. Because perhaps we wanted something from them, or we wanted to be where they are, so we want them to fall. Anyway, wrath is also a deadly sin. DK's Kwenye Beat's outburst in the leaked audio, right? Where he was angry, he was shouting some things I can't even repeat here. And some things would actually show you that these gospel artists, they are not really, and the company they keep. This case, anyway. There is sloth, laziness. When you try to use shortcuts in life instead of doing it the hard way, the rightful way. Like this girl was trying to find fame through the easy route. Hanging around with celebs, giving celebs what they want, and then perhaps celebs will elevate you. It's one of the deadly sins, laziness. Another one is greed. And in this case, using the gospel as a tool to make money and to seek fame. Greed is a deadly sin. And this is what these guys are doing, using the gospel as a way to making money and seeking fame. And then one should respond to God's call. Yeah. So yeah, I'll finish with that. One should respond to God's call to act within the confines of the eternal law. You should not go outside of it because you want something, you are attached to something. Anyway, there is gluttony. DK is okay. This one is a bit unfair, but he's fat. He should lose a few carbs. Gluttony is a deadly sin. I'm not sure if it's genetic or he's just loves food. I don't know. He's there's a name they use. Anyway, he's a foodie. I don't know if he's a foodie or any other thing. Another deadly sin, the 7th one, sleeping with women outside marriage. That's a deadly sin. Having threesomes in this case, and the girlfriend is beautiful. DK Kwenye Beat. I don't know if she was the girlfriend that time, but anyway, it was sad. So anyway, what should we do as observers, as commentators, as all of those things, like us who are not part of this story? There are 9 ways of participating in another person's sins. I think we should know those 9 ways of participating in another person's sins. 1, by counsel. For example, Hopekid can tell DK Kwenye Beat, you should sleep with that girl. She's beautiful. Sleep with her, right? Even if Hopekid does not participate in the act, then he still participates in the sin of that person, and he'll still account for that. Another one is by command. Like, you have to sleep with her. Yes, so that perhaps does not apply in this case because everybody, I think, gave their consent. But when people force you to do something, even if you don't commit the act, like if somebody forces you to abort, mothers force their daughters to abort. That is wrong. And boyfriends force their girlfriends to abort. That is also wrong. Even though you are not the one who has aborted, it's the lady. You will still answer for that sin because you participated in her sin. This is by consent. For example, when somebody says, I'm going to do this, and you say, yeah, okay, so that's okay. Yeah, you're giving your consent, because usually, from what I understand, when people say certain things, they're going to do something wrong, it's actually a cry for somebody to tell them the right thing. And when you don't tell them the right thing, you're participating in their sin, because you're not sharing what you should be sharing with them. So yes, by consent, it's wrong. You're not supposed to give your thumbs up to something, even though you're not going to do it. And you'll answer for that sin that they did. By provocation, like telling you, that chick is tough, I don't think you can sleep with her. So when you provoke somebody into doing a certain kind of sin, then you're participating in that sin and you'll answer for it. By praise or flattery. For example, something, whoa, you slept with that. Oh, man. Hey, you're the man. By doing things like that, encouraging people to sleep with other people, you will answer for that kind of for the same sin that person commits. By concealment. Like, for example, when you know that somebody has a wife and he's sleeping around, and the wife asks you, is he sleeping around? And then you conceal it. No, he's not. For whatever sin that person did, you will answer for it. By concealment. By partaking in the sin. For example, Hopekid started sleeping with this girl, so now DK Kwenye Beat comes and sleeps with her. They both answer. By silence. I know that you slept with her, but I won't tell anyone. It's a bit different from concealment, because concealment, you can actually lie about it, but in silence, you just keep quiet about it. And that's how you defend yourself. No, nobody asked me. By silence, you are a participant in that sin. By a defense of the sinful action. For example, the people who say that this lady got what she deserved, they have all participated in the sin of Hopekid and DK Kwenye Beat. I have mentioned all of these ways of participating into sin so that we can see that we can analyze things objectively, but we cannot judge people subjectively. Only one person can judge, and that is God. At the same time, we cannot absolve ourselves from sins and blame the devil, because primary responsibility lies with us. Yes, there are three enemies of the soul: the flesh, the devil, and the world. But at the end of the day, they do not answer for our sins, because ultimately we are responsible for our sins. So anyway, that's what I'll finish with today. I know I took a bit longer. I got distracted because I'm trying to find some way of presenting stuff to you guys. I hope that I'll make it tomorrow. Thank you for the guys who have subscribed. 500 subscribers. Big up. Subscribe and share. Share with others. If you feel that what you've heard is insightful, like it is written, do not put, a lamp is not put under the table. Share it with others. Let people learn and participate. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys some other time. Bye-bye. And God bless.